One afternoon, my sister and I decided to drive to Belle and visit Tanglewood. If you lived in and around Detroit in the 1960s and were in high school, you knew what Belle was and what Tanglewood was. Belle is a huge and beautiful island that you reach from downtown Detroit by crossing a very long bridge. It's run now as a national park. Back in the 1960s, it was owned by the city of Detroit and open to the public. People would go there to swim, to picnic, to visit the conservatory and the aquarium, to go boating or canoeing, or just to park and spend time with your date. In my high school, kids warned each other to avoid parking along one particular road in Belle Isle. That road was called Tanglewood Drive. The reason they warned you to stay away from Tanglewood Drive was that it was haunted. If you drove past Tanglewood at night, they'd say, you might see a woman dressed in white walk out of the woods and approach you. You didn't want to park on Tanglewood Drive for the same reason. But you know high school kids. For some of them, that warning would just be an enticement. There were also instructions for if you wanted to see the lady in white. You parked and honked your horn 3 times, and then she'd appear, and she'd make hand gestures for you to follow her into the woods. Creepy. If you really wanted to improve your chances, you parked at midnight and did that. Creepier still. My sister and I were in our early teens, and we didn't have boyfriends. There was no way we would drive to Tanglewood at night, but we did decide to drive out there during the day, more than once, just to drive past the woods. And it was creepy every time. We never saw the lady in white, but just knowing that she might appear sent shivers down our spines every time. So who was the lady in white? Well, one story says that she was a woman who was murdered by her husband on their wedding night. And that's why her ghost wanders the island. She's drawn to Tanglewood because young couples park next to the woods to enjoy the beauty of the trees and of the starry sky at night, and to share romantic feelings that eluded her. An alternate story about the lady in white of Tanglewood is that a young woman had an accident on the Belle Isle Bridge. She was thrown out of the window of her car and perished on the rocks below the bridge. In this story, the ghost is not the young woman. It's the young woman's mother, who appears every night at midnight, dressed all in white, to look for her daughter on the bridge, and then in the woods surrounding the bridge. Some people say this ghostly figure comes right up to your car and looks in to see if her daughter is in the car. Or she'll even tap on the window of the car and try to get in. Our Lady in White in Belle Isle isn't the only lady in white haunting roads, woods, and bridges. There seem to be many ladies in white all across the world. Newspapers in Dallas, Texas, reported on sightings of a lady in white in the 1960s. This ghostly figure was called the Lady of White Rock Lake. She wears a soaking wet 1930s-style white evening gown when she appears on the side of East Lother Drive in Dallas. If a driver stops, she asks them to take her to a home address, which she gives them, but she disappears during the drive to her home and leaves the seat where she was sitting drenched in water. She's supposed to be a drowning victim from the 1930s who died in a boating accident. People driving on Suskin Road in Pittston Township in Pennsylvania claim to hear horrific screams coming from the woods and to see a bright light or a lady in white appear on the road in front of them. In Rochester, New York, there's the Lady in White of Durand Eastman Park. This white lady is a mom searching for her daughter who disappeared near the park's lake. In Altoona, Pennsylvania, there's a legend about a woman searching for her baby or for her husband who died in an accident on a mountain road. She's called the White Lady of Wapsananock Mountain. In Canada, Quebec City's Montmorency Falls is home to a lady in white. Her story is that she was a French-Canadian woman who used to meet her lover near the top of the falls. After he was killed fighting the British, the woman ended her life by throwing herself into the raging waterfall, wearing the wedding dress her dead lover never got to see. In Quezon City, in the Philippines, a stunningly beautiful lady in white gets into taxis in the wee hours of the morning on a road called Tanglewood Drive. When the taxi driver who picks her up looks into the rearview mirror, the beautiful woman's face has become bloodied and bruised. Horrified, taxi drivers scramble out of their vehicles to flee. Drivers on that road in the wee hours will catch a glimpse of a lady in white seated in the rear of their vehicles. She disappears as soon as she's spotted. In Norfolk, England, tales of a lady in white have been circulating since the early 19th century. This lady in white appears in Worsted Church on Christmas Eve. In 1975, Peter Berthelot and his wife Diane, who was ill, visited the church, and Peter took a photo of his wife sitting on a pew inside. When the photo was developed, the image of a ghostly woman could be seen sitting beside Diane. After the visit to the church, Diane recovered from her illness. The characteristics common to all these ladies in white are that they, of course, are dressed in white, and the gown they're wearing is flowy, maybe even a wedding dress. Some tragic story explain their appearances: tragic accidental deaths, drownings, or accidents on the road, murders, or suicides. Often the story is connected to romances gone wrong, romantic betrayals, or unrequited love. Or sometimes they're women who search never-endingly for a lost loved one. I think we respond to stories like the stories about the ladies in white because what they're really about is unfinished business. And I think that each of us is haunted, in small ways or large, by areas of our lives where there's unfinished business, with things that happened to us or that we saw happen to other people, and that were not resolved in a satisfying way, where something unfair happened and justice didn't seem to arrive, where someone died much too young and we couldn't understand why. Stories about ladies in white make us feel uneasy, even frighten us, in the same way that our own personal unfinished business might make us feel uneasy when it haunts us in our memories. Maybe they're symbols of guilt, reminders to stick to the straight and narrow, because even if you think that no one sees you steal that cookie out of the jar, someone really did, and they're keeping track. Or maybe they represent the longing for justice. All of us have seen examples of injustice playing out around us in various ways in our own lives or in the lives of others, sometimes in small ways, sometimes in large. In the real world, there don't seem to be any superheroes ready to make things right. So, eerie as they are, the story of ladies in white are comforting in a way, because they hint at an unseen dimension, that undiscovered country that Shakespeare talked about, a place where, who knows, maybe wrongdoers are held to account, where beings might be able to reach out unseen, like the lady in white at the church in Norfolk, and lend us a helping hand. I have no definitive answers. I just know I find these stories interesting. What do you think? Have you or has someone you know had an experience with a lady in white? If so, what happened? Do you regret putting yourself in a situation where that happened? What do you think they represent? Leave your comments. I'd love to hear them. And if you enjoyed this video and found it interesting, please subscribe to this channel and give it a thumbs up. Thank you.